Recently, I read a book, and in this book, I read very interesting words. These words are: nobody is your enemy, nobody is your friend, but everyone who you meet in your life is your greatest teacher. I do love this idea, I do love this thought, because no matter how a person is bad, it doesn't allow us to treat him badly. It means that we need to treat any kind of people with honor, and we also need to treat them as they are our teachers, because every single person who we meet definitely teaches us something. So let's reflect on this topic today and let's get started. Why do I believe that every single person who I met in my life is definitely greatest teacher? Just because if I try to recall any kind of memory when I met a person who I didn't know, who I met for a second, for a day, for an hour, it does not matter, everybody taught me something. Today I also will share my story, like several of them, in order to give you this comprehension and understanding of my thoughts and my idea that this is the idea of these words that were written in the book, the perfect match with my life. So I will give you one very interesting example. When I lived in Taiwan, I remember one day, it was a COVID time, I entered the train. It was very full, it was crowded. I met a person that was a man. He stepped on my feet. I didn't like it. And I didn't tell him anything, but I was so furious that he did it, that he hurt me. Next station, he went out of the train, and I was so regretting that I didn't tell him anything about it. And at the same time, I thought, but it's not his fault, because the train is full of people, and train doesn't move smoothly. Of course, he had this chance to hurt me just by stepping on my feet. And I told myself, it's not his fault. Why are you angry? You are angry at this fact, but the person didn't even want to hurt you. I stopped being furious and angry, and this situation, this man, I don't really remember his face, taught me that we, by ourselves, by our interpretations of any kind of situations, hurt ourselves. He didn't hurt me, I hurt myself, just by thinking that he did it intentionally, but he didn't do this intentionally. Of course, he didn't say sorry, but that's okay. I got furious by myself. So this person taught me that I am the one who is responsible of my interpretations of the situations. That was a really good lesson in my life. 10 years ago, I went to a driving school, I guess, and I wanted to get my driver license. I needed to take an exam. I failed this exam, and I was so nervous. I was so upset about this fact, because everything that I did before in my life, I did it from the first attempt. But this exam, I passed it only at my 4th attempt. But let's talk about the first one. When I failed, I was furious, I was really upset, and I thought that my life ended. I was full of negative emotions. I couldn't think about this situation. I couldn't stop blaming myself, and I'm very bad, and I'm not good enough. So I was just full of negative emotions, and I kept them in my head for a long time, like for the whole day. I was very, very emotional. You could feel it and you could see it at my face. So the most interesting thing started to happen after I failed the exam. I went to the dormitory. In a dormitory, I cried a lot, and I had to go home because I took an exam in an absolute different city, and it's like 5 or 6 hours far from my hometown. So I went to the train station to buy a ticket. I entered the train station and there was nobody in order to buy a ticket. I asked, can I have this ticket to my hometown? They said, no, unfortunately, we don't have any tickets left to your hometown for today, but you can go there tomorrow. Of course, I didn't want to go there tomorrow. I didn't want to be alone, to stay alone with all of these bad emotions. I called my mom. My mom said, okay, go to the another station that was a train station, but before I went to the bus station. Yes, I went to the train station. I couldn't buy a ticket on the train also, and I became more furious, more angry, and more upset. I'm going to sneeze, I think. No, I will not. I'm telling the truth. And then my mom told me, okay, buy a bus ticket to another city, go to our relatives, be there, they will calm you down and everything is going to be okay. And I was okay. And then after like 10 minutes, bus station and train station, they are very close. I entered bus station again, and do you know what I saw? A huge line to buy a ticket. I stood in the line. I was waiting for my turn to buy a ticket. And when my turn came, there was another window, we call it window, another cashier window opened. And I had some thoughts in my head. Come on, go, you can go there. But I said, no, that's okay, just one person in front of me. I will not go there, I will not buy any ticket there. So I will stay in my line. And when it was my turn, do you know what happened? The woman who sold tickets said, oh, I need 15 minutes break. Oh my God. And after that, I realized that all of my negative emotions created these interesting events that brought me more and more negativity in my head, in my heart. And I turned and I started to laugh. I cried and laughed at the same time, and people stared at me. They didn't understand why am I doing this. I wasn't ashamed of this situation. I didn't feel good, so I didn't care what people were talking about me that time. But these people who I met that time and this exact situation that I have created by myself by feeling these negative emotions taught me one lesson. When you are full of any kind of emotions, especially let's talk about negative ones, and you feel them with the whole of your body, you create right away, you create negative situations in your life, and you have to be careful with your emotions and with all of the vibrations that you radiate. And I realized that when this window closed in front of me and this woman told me that she needs this 15 minutes break. After that, all of the tension, all of these bad emotions were gone. And you know what? Reality changed. Of course, it's changed and everything went good after it. So, every single person who we meet in our lives, they definitely teach us this or that lesson to cope with emotions, to understand that you are good, maybe you're bad at something. It does not matter, but every single person who you meet, definitely teach you something or shows you something where you have to pay your attention to. If you had any kind of the same situation, interaction with a person who taught you something, even if you met them just for a second, leave your comment. I would love to read your story too. And I think that's all for today. I will repeat that I absolutely agree with this phrase that is written in the book. Actually, the book is called Two Lives. Nobody is your enemy, nobody is your friend, but everybody is your greatest teacher. It's definitely like that. According to my experience, it is. You agree or you don't agree, just let me know. And that's all for today, and see ya. Bye.